when we ask this question about, do we need a space force? I'd like to unpack that a little bit because it's important to first start with why. Why do we need a space force? And once we understand why we need a space force, then we can talk about, well, when do we need it and what should it do? Technology has always changed world power. Whether it was the caveman that figured out how to harness the power of fire to keep his or her tribe warm, they had a competitive advantage and their DNA survived. Their values survived. To the invention of the airplane, the nuclear weapon, you take a look at any technology that has been optimized by a certain tribe, civilization, it can become a tool of national power that changes world power. Space is going to change world power because of the power of space and what it can do. And we're going to explore that a little bit tonight. And this community in America brought the technologies that are emerging and the strategies that are emerging internationally and domestically to this administration. And this administration said, build a space force. But the reason space is so powerful is not that it just has a military application like a machine gun. It's because it will transform the four major engines of economic growth that have been consistent throughout mankind. Transportation, information, manufacturing, and probably most important, the ability to deliver that transportation and information with energy. These are the things that change humanity, that will change world power, and they are descending upon us in ways that are very unique. Power of space will change world power forever. And it doesn't have to be a big country to do it. It can be a small island country, let's say New Zealand. Because the technology, if optimized, can change world power. And there's nothing you can do if you don't have that power. The nature of power. You either have it and your values rule, or you do not have it. Here's why space is so much more powerful and why this question of a space force is so important. It's because we have competition today. If the development of space to do these things that I just described to you, transform the transportation economy, to be able to deliver anybody anywhere on planet Earth in less than an hour. Transform the energy market where everybody can trickle charge their batteries and capacitors to power anything on planet Earth from anywhere without any power lines, any power plants. Transform information where you can get information about what's going on around you and you don't need to be near a city or near a cell tower because you're delivering it from a network in space that can deliver it to every human being. And that we can manufacture things in space using the vacuum and zero-G. China is our competition. Russia is our competition. They see the power of the economy of space in these four sectors. And they are rushing to that future. And there is no guardian force in America, but there is in China. China has already built the organization and has the strategy and the doctrine, the technology, and the builders for their guardian force of space. They are building a navy in space with the equivalent of battleships and destroyers that will be able to maneuver and kill and communicate with dominance. We'll tap into those trillion-dollar markets as they have in the past, as we have in the past, and fund their ecosystem, their economy, their marketplace in cislunar space, which is basically the distance between the Earth and the Moon and beyond. Speed matters. Speed matters because whoever gets to the new market sets the values for that market. And we could either have the market with the values of our Constitution where every human being is created equal and loved equally by God and their parents and their brothers and sisters, and that respect is manifested in the rights of an individual to vote, to own land, to bear arms, all the things the Constitution gives us. Or we can have the values that we see manifest in China, Hong Kong, the Uyghurs. You pick your example of subordination and crushing religion and human rights and human dignity and human liberty But America is such a good-hearted country, we oftentimes are deceived by the nature of China's strategy. Their strategy is not to make better satellites. Their strategy is to build an economy before we do. Because if you get there first, they will be able to, with a constellation in space, see and kill anything that flies above the trees.
Because if you get there first, they will be able to, with a constellation in space, see and kill anything that flies above the trees.
China has openly stated they are weaponizing everything Western civilization was built on, energy and information. And 5G is a perfect example. If you don't think they will act in a way that steals our ideas and our technology, duplicates it, and then dominates the marketplace, take a look at 5G. Nobody 20 years ago would have ever believed that America would not have an answer to 5G when China rolled it out. This is the difference in strategy. A strategy of speed to get to this new continent of wealth called the moon and asteroids and a cislunar economy to bring power to whatever country dominates that economy. Ultimately, everything is economic. If you can do something cheaper than I can do it, you will eventually beat me. It is in its crosshairs. And space is the Navy for the 21st century economy. A networked economy that will dominate any linear terrestrial economy in the four engines of growth and dominance that change world power: transportation, information, energy, and manufacturing. And they are building that infrastructure. They are unapologetic about it. And they plan on declaring victory as the dominant world power in space at the 100-year anniversary, 2049. Their energy in space, with nuclear and solar power that can be beamed to the Earth for good and for bad. Their ability to control gateways of 5G using space, quantum, artificial intelligence, supercomputing, to be able to shape the perception of the world and to tell any story and to lie about America or anybody else that is counter to their purpose. Ultimately, it is the manifestation of a long, patient plan to dominate information and energy as weapons against the West so China's Middle Kingdom can come back. This is why we need a Space Force. Why do we need a Space Force? Because it's an economic competition for the values of the future. When do we need it? Now. What does it need to do? It doesn't have to have war-fighting capability. It has to be able to defend the economy of space. A Coast Guard, a merchant marine for space. Because the national security muscles and capabilities will flow easily once we tap into the profits of those marketplaces. Just like we have a strong Navy because we have a strong shipbuilding industry and a strong merchant marine, and just because we have a strong Air Force, because the aerospace industry is our largest export as a nation. This is what long-term strategy and economic power look like, and this is what we need. The power of the perpetuation of the American dream and the American values.
The power of the perpetuation of the American dream and the American values.
Si el video te gustó, no olvides de darle like, compártelo con tus amigos, y suscríbete a mi canal. Nos vemos en un próximo video. Gracias.